So page 225 is asking to find two equivalent ratios that are equivalent to 4/7, 3/7, 5/2, 2/10, 4/5. So all you're going to do is multiply up or divide down. You understand how to do that, right? To find an equivalent fraction.
Yeah.
So this one I can divide, but we have to divide by a common number. Or you could just multiply up by 2, 3, 4. So that is how you do that. To find out whether it is an equivalent ratio, like these ones right here, you would just multiply by a common number and see if it would equal. So 3 times 4, anything you do to the denominator, you do to the numerator. If they turn out to be equivalent, you would write yes. For this one, we could see times 1 times 1, that could never be equivalent. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Excuse me. So that is pretty much...
If we divide it by 2, will it be equivalent?
If you divide this by 2?
Yeah.
So if you divided it by 2...
Never mind, I get it.
Okay. So same thing. Then what we're doing is we're taking whatever concept we just learned about in 4.3, and that's what you're going to do for the word problems. I know you kind of freak out a little bit on the word problems, but it's pretty much the same thing that you're doing. It's just now practicing this concept in word form. Okay, then for these pages, this is for lesson that you're currently on. So we're on 4.3. So
Can I go to this page?
This is going to be a 4.3 problem. This is going to be a 4.3 problem. And then these problems down here are going to be a lesson check from something that you've learned in the past. So when you don't understand them, you have to go back either to a different section or a different chapter, and you have to look, oh yeah, I remember that. So for example, for number 6, you go, when did I learn about negative decimals? And it might be in chapter 3. So you're going to go and you're going to look, and I want you to try to figure these out. They're not meant to be easy. They're meant to challenge you. And that's what we want. We don't want everything to just be about this lesson. This review, when it says spiral review, is about things that you've done in the past. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then these ones are meant to be a challenge for you. So same thing, you're going to go through, and I'm trying to help you build your critical thinking where you don't just have everything handed to you. You have to think about it. Wait, what do I do? All right, let me see. There was something back here. And so you might have to look back at previous stuff, but that's good. That's a very good thing to have to do. Okay, for page 231, you're going to go through and you're going to try to figure this out. And basically what you're doing is setting up a table, and they showed you how to do that. It's basically just finding equivalent ratios. So you're going to try that. Same thing with this. They're talking about ratios, so you're going to try to figure out what you're supposed to do to figure this out. And when you have a word problem, you have to first determine, is it a multiplication, addition, a subtraction, or a division? Sometimes it's not, right? Like if you're comparing ratios, it may not be any of those. But then you have to figure out, what are the steps I have to take? Then you have to do the steps. Then you have to label your answer. And then you have to check whether your answer makes sense. I just got 5. Could that be a possible answer? And then you think about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So these are all about comparing ratios, which means if you have 8 friends who chose green and there was a total of 12 asked, how many would it be for 32, right? And so that's what this whole page is about. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
And then for page 234, same thing. This 1 and 2 is going to be about lesson 4.5. And then 3, 4, 5, and 6 is going to be about something that you've done before. it may not be in this chapter, might be in chapter 1, might be in chapter 2. You're going to find out, oh yeah, when did I divide fractions? When does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm trying to help you learn how to find answers when you don't remember how to do something. And then page...
So did I do those pages?
Yeah, I sent you all of the information. So
Okay.
page 236. Remember, we did this last year, so I'm just going to review it with you. So to find out what this is, you can do one of two things. You can say 4... I can change 4 into a 20 by multiplying it by what? By 5. And then anything I do to the numerator, I do to the denominator. And anything I do to the denominator, I do to the numerator. Sometimes they're going to ask you, the blank is going to be at the numerator. Sometimes the blank is going to be at the denominator. Now, a second way you can do it, which is algebra, is you do this cross multiplication. Do you remember that from last year when we did it? So wherever they have a blank, you're going to put an X in, and then you're going to multiply. It's going to become 56x equals 8 times 42. And then you're going to say 8 times 42 is 336 equals 56x. To get the number away from the x, they're multiplying, so we do the opposite and we divide by 56. And this is what it's going to look like. It's going to look like a fraction. We cancel this out, and anything we do to one side, we do to the other. And so it's going to be 336 divided by 56. Now, if you have a problem like this, I'm going to let you use your calculator. So in your calculator, you're going to do 336 divided by 56 equals 6. So it's going to be x equals 6. So there's two ways you could figure it out. I would try both ways so that you get used to doing both of them. Do you have any questions about that, honey?
No.
Okay. 237 is the same thing. And then 11 and 12 is going to be a similar problem. It's just it's in word problem form. So you're probably going to be doing something similar to what you did up here. And then same thing here. 239, same thing.
Okay.